investment bank and got to work for the World Bank. I had this high flying corporate jet setting life doing, multi-million, billion-dollar deals. But what I did know and what I had heard about was ayahuasca. This powerful plant medicine found in the Amazon jungle. You got to go deep into the jungles of Peru and sit with shamans in the hut with spiders and tarantulas and who knows what. And I'm like, there's no freaking way I'm going to go do that.
No.
Prior to that, I had not had a great relationship with love. I never said I love you to my parents. And with love to myself, I couldn't really fully say that I loved myself.
We do what we do with integration coaching. We've seen it where people will have these moments of transformation, right? They're good for a month, but you dip back into this matrix, into the life that you've led before with all of the pre-programming, and you just naturally will become that again without having that consistent integration of that experience, right? Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Nurse Mark podcast. I am your host, Nurse Mark. Welcome. Oh, we have a great show today. I got one of my best friends and collaborators in the whole world joining us from Bali, no less, which is completely the opposite time zone and opposite side of the world. Salman Hatta. Welcome, Salman.
Thank you, Nurse Mark. It's such a pleasure to be on this podcast with you and to share and to co-create with you.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have a deep dive into what your experience has been in this, in how you ended up in this space. I mean, psychedelics, sacred plant medicine. You're a DJ. You do breath work, and you coach. You coach what? Primarily entrepreneurs, right? Leaders, people who are wanting to affect change in their lives.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. You nailed it. I've I'm a man of many talents, gifts, and skills right now, all in the name under the umbrella of transformation and liberation and
Mhm.
self-expression.
Mhm.
So you pretty much covered all of it, all the
Mhm.
bases. I'm an integration coach. I help people make their lives into great ones, and I am a retreat director for a leading ayahuasca retreat experience where I met Nurse Mark for
That's
the
where
first
we met,
time.
and we'll talk about that. Yeah, I
We'll
mean,
talk about that.
a lot of my guests who are going to share their experience, of course, come from the One Heart community because we're all family. And when you ask a family member to pop on a podcast, they always say yes.
Why not? Of
Of
course. We're supporting
course.
each other to expand the lives of those who we reach.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's dive in, bro. I
Let's
mean,
go.
you haven't always been in this space, right? I mean, like me. I mean, we had different lives that we led and kind of had plans and aspirations on how things would go, and then universe said something different, and here we are.
That's right. That's right.
What was it like before? What's your backstory, bro? Where'd you grow up, and what was your path to end up here? I know it's a great story, I'm sure.
It's a very circuitous path.
Yeah.
So the road as I imagined it in my younger years, in my adolescent and formative years, was straight and narrow, just like how my parents wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And for the most part, I followed that path. So I grew up in San Francisco as an only child to two parents from Indonesia and Malaysia, and I had a very conservative upbringing, conservative and religious and lower middle class upbringing. So a lot of expectations were placed upon me to
Mhm.
behave and act in a certain way in order to support my family in gaining respect from the community. I was kind of the one seen to have the potential to to be successful in life. My parents didn't, weren't on paper your successful American, immigrant American family. We were not poorer, but we were also not affluent by any means.
Hmm.
And I, as the sole child, the only child, had the gift of my brain and my education, and I did really well in school. And so I was expected to continue to do well in school and to, follow my parents' lineage of religion, Islam, to a T, and to follow the path, follow the straight and narrow path. And
Yeah.
over time, I for the most part I did, and then over time, as I grew older, I realized that I had different beliefs. I wanted to explore different things, and so I did in a way, but always the professional corporate life of success followed me, and I did that. I did that. I went to college. I had a scholarship to USC in Southern California. Studied business. Got Once I graduated, I went to work for a leading bank, investment bank, and I started off my career in 2006 as an investment banker.
I love this because the visual that I am looking at right now is
Oh,
not
do
a
I not
traditional,
stream investment
not
banker
a
right now?
traditional investment banker look, is all I'm saying, right? So
Hey, you
I
can't judge a
love that.
book by
I
its
love that you have
cover,
this
Nurse
experience.
Mark. Yeah,
But
thank you. I said you can't judge a book by its cover, right?
you
No.
really can't.
Right. I know. I love throwing people off when I say that when I share with them my backstory. So
I think
yeah,
it's great.
I had I lived I lived my life in accordance to traditional value
Hmm.
systems and markers of success. So I worked for an investment bank, and I did that for 3 years and moved to a different bank. I actually got to work for the World Bank um, in 2009 and spent 2 years in Washington D.C. and transferred to Dubai. So I lived a year as an expat in Dubai uh, back in 2011. I had this high flying corporate jet setting life doing multi-million billion dollar deals
Yeah.
and supporting the global economy through my work as a financial analyst. I thought it was sexy at the time and it was like totally fulfilling. And
Sounds like a hell of a life. People, I mean, there are a lot of people, there are people who listen to this say, I would trade for that anytime.
right,
Yeah.
right. And I was super happy with my life at the time. And um, I was in my mid 20s and I had a very different lifestyle. And it was exciting for me. And then I went to business school. I got an MBA at a top tier school. I went to the University of Pennsylvania, Wharton
Wharton. Yeah.
Wharton School of
Great
Business.
school. Yeah.
Great school, top three MBA, Ivy League. Did that thing. Check the box. Look, mom. Look, dad. I'm doing exactly what you wanted me to
Number
do.
one son.
Number
Bravo.
one son, right?
Yeah.
Doing
Yeah.
all the things for positive reward, affirmation, like checking the box to receive love because this is what was
Yeah.
expected of me,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so I did the things. I did all the things and continued on and got my, go work for some top startups in San Francisco. All these professional accolades, right? I can name them off, like
Yeah.
just off the list. But really, all of it was because that was what I thought was needed for me to feel satisfied, fulfilled,
Yeah.
receive love
Well, it's what
from
you were programmed to believe
I
that.
was it was a
Yeah.
total program, right?
Yeah.
This is what society says you need to
Hmm.
do. This is what
Hmm.
parents said I needed to do. This is what, my community said was important for me, to be a successful human being. And so I believed all that. I drank the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
And
Of course.
for most of my life, it was great until
I
until
just
until there's always
this
there's always
until is what I've been
yeah,
waiting for. Like it's
right.
okay. He's got the perfect life. Dubai for a year, Wharton grad, startups in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Okay, where's the
Silicon Valley when it was booming. It's no longer booming. But yeah,
oh,
it was great. It was everything I could have asked for. And you know what? With all of that, with all of those professional accolades, academic achievements, etc., and I was, living in San Francisco, and I had a relationship, like the longest one that I was looking at to maybe consider going
next
and
steps?
taking a step further with this woman. And deep down inside, there was something missing. I felt something missing in my life. I'm like, what is this? Why am I feeling so unsatisfied and unfulfilled? On paper, life was great. You know what I mean? You ever felt
I
that way?
intimately know what you mean. Bro, I sold a company I ran for 30 years, didn't have to work hard, made the money, was on autopilot, do whatever I want. I sold it. Like I got rid of it because there was something calling me to something different.
Yeah,
It
right.
made no sense, right?
It
On
made
paper, it
no
doesn't
sense.
make sense.
Right.
Yeah,
Like like you probably had the life that other people envied. Like, wow, look at you.
absolutely.
You're doing so
100%.
great. You
Oh,
sold this company, you made I don't know how much money,
yeah,
and I'm sure you're, crowning achievement,
yeah.
all of
Oh,
the
yeah.
great things. And but for some reason it's there's there's something that's not fulfilling about that,
Right.
right? And that was it for me.
Really?
Yeah. I couldn't tell you what it was, but it was just like this sinking feeling, like what else is out there? How long am I supposed to be doing this? I mean, I didn't have the pinnacle business achievement of, like, building and selling a company, but I was
Yeah,
doing really well in my
of
corporate life,
course.
professional life, and I was working for
Yeah.
a great company, making great money, and I was like, well, what's missing? What was missing was the feeling of satisfaction in my vision of my future, and it felt like I was just going and running in this, this on this treadmill, or this whatever you call the circular thing that rats
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
hamsters, the
Treadmill.
hamster wheel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hamster wheel. Yeah, you were spinning the wheel.
I was spinning the wheel. I'm
Yeah,
like chasing the carrots. Okay, chasing, the next raise, the next promotion, and, like, like these next steps with this partner, and, the whatever society said was supposed to be next. Okay, we got to go, move in together. We got to go to get a house together. Maybe we talk about marriage and all the things that was, like, implanted in my
yeah,
brain, like from TV and movies. Like, okay, this comes next and that
right?
comes next. Okay, I got
It's
to
the
go
messaging.
follow, chase. Yeah, the mess exactly.
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
What is that? So you had this feeling it's somehow something's missing. How did you get because that's got to be the moment of what do I do next? What do I do
Yeah,
about this? Right? Where
absolutely.
what happened?
I had no idea. I had no idea what to do. I was a voracious reader. Intellectual, into books. I could do research for days and figure things out. And at the same time, I knew that as much research as I could do, and I would overanalyze things. I had this overanalytical brain. I would put myself, find like 10 different solutions for a problem, and then, like, get myself into analysis paralysis, and then just, like, not be able to make a decision, and then, like, fall into the trap of indecisiveness.
Yeah. Oh, so familiar.
Oh, okay, great. Glad I'm
Oh
not the
yeah,
only one.
yeah, yeah. You've obviously talked to several of my therapists because that is exactly the pattern that I fall into.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow. No wonder we're
so
great friends.
I know. Kindred
But
spirits. We see each
kindred
other.
spirits.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. So I'm assuming then that the way I got through is the way you got through, and I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna get to that now. So I had been curious about the nature of reality, of consciousness, of just the things that were unknown to me. I had always been kind of curious about psychedelics. I had dabbled with different forms of um, psychedelics and substances throughout my 20s and 30s. I would go to festivals and raves and things like that, and I'd had amazing experiences, all kind of more recreationally. And I knew that there was something else out there that would be powerful, transformative experience. I had never done any personal development work before. I had never done, you know, Tony Robbins or Landmark or anything that I'm super familiar with now. Back then, it was all just completely unknown to me. But what I did know and what I had heard about was ayahuasca, and that this is powerful plant medicine found in the Amazon jungle. You got to go deep into the jungles of Peru and sit with shamans in the like in a hut with spiders and tarantulas and who knows what. And I'm like, there's no freaking way I'm gonna go do that.
No,
No. But
no.
this was 2017. And so,
Uh,
of course, I had a friend who was my business school classmate who worked at Google, who knew a guy who worked at Google, who knew about a ceremony happening in San Francisco.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's how it happens.
Yeah, that's how it
Like,
happens.
when you look back, I don't know about you, but do you look back and you look at these things and now see sort of the synchronicity of how this little domino fell and this one fell and this one fell and you ended up in a ceremony?
Yeah,
Mm,
right, exactly. I love like the juxtaposition, this very kind of ironic juxtaposition of, oh, I went to I was an investment banker and I went to a top tier business school, and this is how I found ayahuasca.
yeah. A friend of a friend of a friend in a
Yeah,
conversation
yeah,
happened to say,
yeah,
oh, I know it
exactly.
is a ceremony.
Right.
No
Yeah,
spiders.
no spiders. But
Yeah.
these are the things that you gotta be open to.
Hmm.
One of the things I've learned over my time is to be open, and stay
Mm,
curious. And you never know how things are going to play out. And these are the things that play out. So in looking back at the events in my life, it appears now in retrospect as a series of breadcrumbs. And I'm the hamster or the cat or the
yeah.
rat that
Yeah.
followed the breadcrumbs, not knowing where it would lead
No.
until I'm here now, and I'm
Isn't it
still
wild?
following breadcrumbs, and I
Wow.
don't know where it's going to lead.
But isn't that amazing? I mean, we were talking before we started recording. I mean, you're in San Francisco, then you're in Costa Rica. Now you're in Bali. You'll be
Yeah,
back. Like you're all over the place, just living life. Like there's no anxiety around. It's like, oh yeah, of course I'm going to go there. Yeah, of
it's
course I'm going to dip in.
yeah. There's there's a lot of trust involved, and
Yes,
my favorite saying. What is it, Mark?
the way knows the way,
The
baby.
way knows the way.
The
Have it right
way
here on
knows
my
the way,
shirt.
and
The
I
way, the
yes,
way knows
yes,
the way.
yes. I have
I,
adopted that as well, my friend. You taught me well. I live by that. Um, and I have to say, sometimes there is some anxiety when I'm not, surrendering and trusting, but we'll get to all of that.
we'll
So
get to that.
you end up at this ceremony
Sure.
not having had an experience like that. And for folks that are listening, I mean, most of you probably have had an ayahuasca experience. Some of you may have not. And it is a glorious, beautiful, confronting universe in a moment experience.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's
and
right.
and so you end up in one not having had any of this type of that particular experience before. What was that like? Were you nervous?
Yeah, so I was and I wasn't, because I had had experience with psychedelics before, so
Yep.
I knew how to handle myself. It wasn't like I was the first time kind of going through an experience similar to that. But of course I was nervous, and I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I did a lot of research, of course, being the analytical mind that I had.
You did a
Uh,
lot of reading prior
did a
to
lot
the
of did a lot
experience.
of reading. Yeah,
Yeah,
followed the dieta to a T. And as you know, as you and I know, the dieta is the preparation, the
it's very,
energetic and
very
physical,
important in an
physiological
ayahuasca experience.
preparation
Yeah,
for an ayahuasca journey, where you
yeah,
kind of cleanse and purify your body of certain foods and certain acts, certain energies. With abstaining from alcohol, drugs, sex, and like certain foods for a period of 2 weeks.
yeah.
And it was one of the more powerful experiences of my life, because that led me to all the shifts that happened later. So I'll take a step back. The intention for me going into that first ever ceremony in 2017 was to figure out what to do with my love life,
Mm,
my partnership, because I had so many questions and doubts about the future of our relationship, and I wanted answers of, do I continue going forward, or is this meant to end? In the preparation process, I made shifts in my life that had eventually continued with regard to food and certain ways of being. And in the ceremony itself, man, it was amazing. The music was amazing, first of all, and gratitude to all those musicians who were there to introduce me to my very first ceremony. And the messages I got from grandmother ayahuasca, as we like to call her, i- is to just give love. Like, I am love. I get to give love. I get to be love. The message is about love, which
yeah,
is which is a very common message when anyone sits with
always.
with Mother Ayahuasca. And prior to that, I had not had a great relationship with love, with love to others. With my romantic relationships were very
Hmm.
infrequent and kind of surface level. With love to my family, I never said I love you to my parents. And with love to myself, I couldn't really fully say that I loved myself.
Yeah,
Like, I understood what self love was. And so I got this. I was able to tap into the frequency of love for that very first time, and I kind of was able to really embody it, know what that meant, know what that felt like, and I'm like, okay, wow, this is massive. This is massive. It's so transformational. I'm
yeah,
like, and that shifted the course of my life, 100%. And I can't say for everyone that their first ayahuasca ceremony is going to do that. I was
well,
maybe one of the lucky ones.
I have to say, my first ayahuasca ceremony was not about love, but it was exactly what was needed, right? It was dark. It was me visiting every time I had hurt someone in my life over and over and over again for 7 hours. And it needed to happen. Like I
Hmm.
needed to touch that and see that and feel that in order to prepare for the next ceremony, which was exactly what you said, complete connection to love. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's a good it's one thing you mentioned, which is important to reiterate, is, as we know with the medicine, you get what you need, not
Yeah.
necessarily what you want. So
Yeah.
it might not have been the more a pleasant experience, and it needed to happen to help you release the things that you needed to, or to see things in a
Prepare.
different way, to prepare you for what else was coming your way.
Right. Right. Yeah. Magical. Absolutely positively what needed to happen. And I love that premise. I come from that analytical background too, and 8 years in the Marine Corps, and very much, black, white, linear thinking.
Yeah.
And and I totally am in the belief that it's sacred medicine and it knows what you need. Like there's no question. So surrendering to that and having the experience is just beautiful.
Yeah.
Even in the dark, still
Right.
beautiful.
Wow. How hard must it have been for you, being in the Marine Corps,
Mhm.
to be told that your main job is to surrender? Like, isn't that the
Yeah.
thing you
Yeah.
don't do as a Marine? Like, you're there
Okay.
to
So
fucking
I'm
win.
17 years old. I get this download program of US Marine Corps, right?
Yeah.
So it's always
Like
annihilate,
we never
annihilate,
surrender.
annihilate. We never
Right.
surrender. And it's just not what you do. So you're
Right.
right. So to 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 let that program lay dormant is really, it's a gift, but yeah, it's not an easy thing to let go of that. But it has to be. You have to let go of
Right.
that and realize
Right.
that it's all just programming,
It's all
and
programming.
it
Yeah.
strips away, right? So you have this first ceremony, you connect to that love, right?
Yeah.
Which is, as you said, a theme in so many experiences for so many people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The love that I felt, and by the way, just to
Yeah.
finish off the point about your experience,
Yeah.
what a paradigm shift, what a paradigm
I
shift for
know.
you,
Oh.
and a great example and reflection of the you know how everything in life is you know a series of waves, ebbs and flows, right?
Mm,
Like you can't hold that, you can't possibly hold that frequency of annihilation, for lack of a better
no.
term,
Yeah.
for your whole life. That would be one extreme, and life is meant to be in balance. And so I just want to like acknowledge how like you've come from that life and now you're about
Oh,
surrender,
yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
creating this balance that like in your system, in
And
your
that's
life.
it.
Yeah.
It's that strength and surrender, and it's so beautiful. It really is. It's such a beautiful life.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
beautiful that you got to experience both sides
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
really have
Mhm.
the spectrum of experience. But
Right.
yeah, um, for me, love was experienced through that ceremony, felt in my body,
Mhm.
and allowed me to both give and receive love
Mhm.
in more meaningful and powerful ways. And it
Mm.
allowed me to see how I had been abandoning love that I was able to, I had the opportunity to give to others.
Mhm.
So with my partner, it was a recommitment to love.
Mm.
And instead of giving up, it was like, okay, well, I'm going to give this 100% effort and fully
Mhm.
love until something else tells me it's time, it's
Yeah.
time to release this, which eventually it did.
Yeah.
But the
But
immediate
not without
response,
you having given it all of
that
your love.
effort.
You needed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I needed to do that for myself, for her, for the
Yeah.
relationship
For the whole
to
for
really
yeah.
see it through.
Right. Yeah.
And then I started saying I loved you to my parents for the first time in my life.
What was that like, bro?
I
Because
mean,
that's a
them
shift.
there that was crazy. I mean, them me growing up and never really hearing those words coming from them to each other or from them to me. It was um, it was hard for me to take the first step. Uh, just
Fear.
yeah, like
Yeah.
this was not embedded in our culture at
Nope.
all.
Mm-mm. And
But
the
I had
fear
to
of how's that gonna be received?
exactly
What are they gonna say?
right. And there's a trust there. It's my parents. They raised me, they loved me, and I didn't have any major traumas growing up. But it just wasn't like something that was common. So
Right.
for me to open that door, was the step that was needed for them to see that it's okay as well, and
Yeah.
to not be afraid of expressing emotion. So
Yeah.
before ayahuasca, I was super unemotional. I didn't know how to feel. I was very much in my head. I thought too much. I analyzed, overanalyzed, and then after and since then, having sat with a lot more medicine ceremonies, I've been able to shed layers of the mind, shed layers of projection of expectation of the program of the condition
Programs.
of how I thought I was meant to be, of what
Yeah.
society would say about me being a certain way, and to really tap into my true authentic self and my
Hmm.
potential and who I really am and what makes me truly happy. So the layers of me being, thinking I had to be and do and say and act in certain ways in order to receive approval,
Yeah.
attention, or love were stripped away so that
Yeah.
I realized that my my true and inner self wanted to be and express myself in a different way. And
Yep.
I started to give myself permission and allowance to do so. So
Amazing.
so the 2 years since that first ceremony resulted in me leaving the relationship eventually that I was in that led me to sit with ayahuasca for the first time.
Uh,
It led me to changing jobs and eventually leaving the corporate world. It led me to create art in a big way. That actually was one of the other inspirations for me leaving the corporate world when I realized that my heart was being fulfilled when I created for people without expectation of any monetary return. This was a art project I did at Burning Man, and then lead people to start to feel the same way I did as I started to feel
yeah.
liberation in myself and my body.
Yep.
Um, with the help of plant medicine, I found
Oh,
myself going on this retreat where I connected with other leaders like myself and who were doing this work, and that was One Heart Journeys back in 2019.
yeah. 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 Ooh, we got them. Oneheart.com, baby.
Yeah. Oh wow, I like that.
Yeah.
Fancy little banner there.
And that's where, that's where you and I met in, I don't know.
What
I
was
don't
it
even know how to
6 months
describe.
ago? 9 months ago?
Yeah. I don't even know how to describe. So for me, I was being called to sit with ayahuasca and having had, early on in my teenage years, pretty significant amount of of experience with psychedelics. My
Mm.
first entrepreneurial adventure was I was the guy you'd go to for LSD. That was just me. So I have a history, right? But then I went in the Marines at 17, everything stopped.
Clean
Stopped.
cut.
Clean cut,
Cut your hair.
tested, so
Yep.
boom.
They don't test for LSD, do they? It's kind of nearly impossible with the half life.
Yeah. It's oh my gosh. No, there's no testing for LSD. There isn't. But um it just wasn't a thing that I was into at that point. I had little
Yeah.
kids, I was married. It was a different
Yeah.
life. It was a different life. I mean, I've
Right.
lived several lives within this one container, which is magnificent. I'm on to this new one. It's the best yet. It
What
really
version of Mark are we at?
we're at we got to be at version 5.0 at this point.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been living. It's great. Spectacular.
I'm
So I was
I'm
called to sit with ayahuasca, and I was actually going to go to Italy and sit with a shaman friend of mine from San Paulo. Uh, at the same time frame as the One Heart journey that we were blessed to do together.
yeah.
But I got how that synchronistic lifestyle works. Somebody told me that this person was going. I connected with them, which said, and I said, "Oh my gosh, I just have to go on this one." And then here we are.
Here
Here
we
we are.
are.
Here we are.
Look at us. Look at
So
our bright smiley
fucking
faces.
spectacular, bro.
Right.
So good. So good. And oh, I don't know. I think you'll agree. We could never have predicted this in at the height of our, being in the matrix, so to speak, in that corporate world. Never in a
Oh,
million years.
you couldn't
No,
convince me that this would ever happen. For
no.
me
You
to
would have
be
laughed.
who I am now, to be appearing as I do now, and to be sharing about the work that I'm doing now,
Right.
and lovingly, willingly in
Yes.
public.
Yes.
I was so fraught with judgment and shame from my parents and the communities that they are a part of that I
But
could
that's
never
just
think
their
about being
program.
able to be sharing myself in this level of openness and truth. But I
Truth.
feel so liberated now from it.
So I got to ask you, you could be right now, your life could be at the top of some penthouse suite in Dubai, doing what you did before. Could have been a life, whatever you want, you can
Right.
have. And here you are, you're in Bali,
Yeah.
hanging out, getting ready, doing some DJ. You got an event that you're performing at coming up. What's your level of happiness compared if you compare the two, like where you were to where you are now? Is there even any comparison?
It's hard to say. It's not hard to say. I'm so much happier now. And there are elements of of a life like that that are quite nice, obviously, and
Oh,
there are elements of my life right now that are quite nice,
yeah,
obviously.
yeah,
um, Ultimately, I feel that my level of satisfaction in life and happiness and contentment and really also alignment with myself and my truth is at a level that I could not have asked for before, or I thought that I had before, but really it was kind of an illusion, as I was always chasing someone else's dream, and now I'm living my dream day to day. My, when I was living in the corporate world, I always, like, my dream was to be, very mobile, internationally mobile, live in amazing places, in beaches, like on beaches and tropical islands, and to um, and to be an international DJ and create fun events and create joy for people with
mhm,
whatever I do. But I was always wearing the suit and having to
yeah,
do all these these very professional, high level activities, which was great. And I felt like I had a sense of inflated ego about it because
yeah.
that's my identity. I'm,
Dude,
the
there's a lot,
MBA with the
there's a lot there for your ego to be pumped up about.
right,
Like you
right.
checked all the boxes, bro. That's a big thing. Like,
So
hell
like,
yeah.
and yeah, and I'm grateful for that.
I could see
I'm
you.
grateful for that.
Right.
I loved that.
Of
I loved it
course.
at the time for myself.
Yes.
And I'm
Yes.
grateful now that I get to say that I did that and I had that experience and that I'm doing what I'm doing now, which is exactly what I wanted to do while I was doing that thing. So
Right.
now I'm traveling the world, helping people remember themselves, helping people like grow into their own versions of their own truth through the retreat work I do, the coaching work that I do, and
Yeah.
then bring joy to people. I am
Oh,
an international DJ. I'm living in places like Costa Rica and Bali.
so spectacular.
It's
Bro,
pretty special.
you just said something that I think I just want to make a quick comment. You said you travel the world helping people remember themselves, right?
Yeah.
I did an ecstatic breathwork session on Friday night for folks who had never had any breathwork experience before. And one of the girls came up to me afterwards and she said, "This is the first time I've ever forgotten myself in my whole life." And I got, her backstory. She's got a lot of pressure from kids and stuff, and she just always is on, is on, is on. This was a moment where she just let all of that go. What she didn't know is she was remembering herself because that's who she really is, right?
Hmm.
And
That's
it's beautiful. So I love what I do, and I know you love what you do.
I do. I do.
Yeah,
And the irony is I used to work all the time. I used to work 60 to 80 hours a
it's
week,
required. That life
banking
requires
or
it.
startup work, and
Yeah,
that's what that work required.
yeah,
And what I would do before, I would do, to do a good job and to fulfill my responsibilities and to like go above and beyond to help the company to grow and to help myself professionally. But ultimately, would I have rather been doing other things with my time? Yes. Would I have loved to, you know, to learn new hobbies or um, learn new skills or practice new hobbies? Sure, absolutely. And I always felt that I was missing time to do the things that I wanted to do. And now I'm probably working 100% of the time. Everything I'm doing is for the growth of my own self, which is
Same.
I'm my own business now,
Yeah.
and I love everything that I do.
Oh my gosh. It's not
When I
even work.
We're doing work right now,
I
and we're
know.
having so much fun.
It's not even work. Oh, this is, I try to explain that to people. They're like, well, work life balance. I'm like, no, I just have life. Like,
Yes,
what I do is just my life.
I love that. I love that. Like it's shifted. Like the perspective
Yeah.
has shifted that way. I used to go find work and jobs where I would be satisfied with the work-life balance. Like okay, 50 hours a week, great, cool. I have my weekends free. Great, that's a great corporate gig. Why
Yeah.
not? Still
Yeah.
make six figures. Like no like low low to medium stress isn't like you haven't like you have to work nights and weekends. Great, that's a great work-life balance. Right now, everything is life. My work
Everything
is
is
life, and life is
life.
work, and it's all enjoyable because we're doing things that we love.
It's so beautiful. It really is.
How amazing has that been?
It is amazing. Yeah. But it does require a bit of surrendering to the path,
Hmm. Hmm.
like not
And
not
it's
planning
not
so
it's
much.
not planning so much. A lot of trust,
Yep. Yep.
and also it's hard work. It's hard work. Building, creating something for yourself and trusting that there will be rewards at the end of the day. Nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is consistent, as maybe a salaried corporate gig might be, or if if you're CEO of your own company and you pay yourself, you kind of know. Although there's still some uncertainty there, but now it's like the path now isn't as comfortable or secure or certain, but it's way more satisfying
Way
when,
more.
when even even
Yes.
even though there it's like maybe like the fundamental safety isn't as like solid there when it comes to finances.
Right.
um, you're creating for yourself, and there's a possibility. There's like a higher reward, higher risk, higher reward,
Right.
and way more fun.
Yeah. Way
Yeah,
more fun. So what
right.
about this? What about this premise? What about this hypothesis that, that seeming solidity or that safety of being in that corporate world is all just an illusion anyway. All that shit could go away, could go sideways just
Yeah,
as quick as not having that, regularity of a paycheck, or you know what I mean?
I mean, look
Depending
look
on
at
how
look
true
at the
that.
economy these days.
Yeah.
Like people are losing
Yeah.
their jobs left and right. The tech industry
Oh,
isn't
yeah.
what it used to be. Like a bunch of
Yeah.
companies are laying people off. So
Right.
you know safety in your regular day job is a form of control. That's why you're doing it, right? Because you're able to control kind of how your life is
You're
going, your
trading.
finances.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a trade-off.
and what I've learned through my plant medicine ceremonies, and maybe you've learned the same thing, is that control is an illusion. You can't control anything in life. You know, if I were working a corporate job right now, I could be laid off any day, and that has happened to me before in 2009, 2009.
Yeah.
And so control is an illusion, and the
Yeah.
universe works in mysterious ways, and is going to throw things at you in your life that you get to learn to deal with and to manage and to navigate.
Hmm.
And these these experiences that we've done with personal transformation, with plant medicine, puts you in these situations of complete uncertainty where you get to learn how to navigate them with
And it's
calm,
beautiful.
with acceptance, with
Yeah.
surrender,
Yeah.
and with trust that you're going to be taken care of. You're going to figure it out no matter what at the end of the day.
Always.
And the more you can accept, the more you can surrender, the more you can trust, the more it's going to be turn out just fine. The more you start to worry and create anxiety over it and stress about it and try to control it, the more it's going to hit you in the face.
That is it in a nutshell. The more you try to control it, the more out of control it's going to be.
The more out of control it's going
Yeah.
to be.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, this is a beautiful conversation, man. It's
Thanks.
just
I
spectacular.
love it.
Yeah.
I'd love to say something about integration because
Do please.
because as you and I, who both work in integration, how important is it to be able to learn how to take what you've learned in a plant medicine ceremony or in a breath work or in any kind of transformational experience and apply it to your life? It's like 90% of the work, actually. 10%
Absolutely.
is being shown the mirror of, oh, this is who I get to be, or these are my blind spots. Maybe my ayahuasca is going to show you, oh yeah, these are the things where you've been blind to before that you get to look at, so that you get to, improve your life. You get to show up better and to love yourself better, etc. Or this is the version of you that you get to really embody, right? And so these are just visions, these are just downloads, insights that if not if you're not applying it in your everyday life, if you're not taking steps to make shifts and changes, it just was like, a blip on the radar, rather than rather than a path redirect that leads you to a different outcome in the
Yeah.
future.
And you see it, I've seen it many times, and which is why we do what we do with integration coaching. We've seen it where people will have these moments of transformation, right? Moments of revealing what's
Yeah,
behind the veil. And they're good for a month and a half, two, but you dip back into this matrix, into the life that you've led before with all of the pre-programming and all of the people who have an idea of who you are, and you just naturally will become that again without having that consistent integration of that experience, right? That reliving of
right,
that experience, that conversation continuing. So I
right.
think it's important to note that, yeah, you got to keep that conversation alive.
You got to keep the conversation alive. Yeah, and there's important ways to do so. And
Yeah.
you and I as integration coaches have the tools and resources and guidance to help people do so. I would love to share this framework that I
Yeah.
developed when it comes to the life cycle of an awakened leader. And I want to also reflect that our conversation is really to also talk about, as we note in the title below, awakening leaders to their true potential. And you know leaders, the definition of leaders is very broad, right? Anyone fundamentally
Anyone
is a leader.
anyone can be a leader.
Doesn't have to be a CEO or a founder,
Parents is a
entrepreneur, or
leader.
anyone, but anyone really is a leader. You're a leader of
Yeah.
your own life,
Yeah.
and so business leaders, sure, great, they have success in the professional world, but really anyone and everyone is and has the potential to be a leader in any
Yes.
way,
I
right?
agree.
And how you take charge of your leadership is how you take charge of your life. And when it comes to making shifts in your life that lead you in a direction that allow you a person, to become the best version of yourself, it starts with, there's this this journey, this road that starts with the invitation of an experience
Mhm.
to discover yourself, whether it's some kind of personal development, plant medicine experience that gets you to look deep in yourself, maybe into your subconscious, maybe into parts of yourself that you hadn't realized before, that you get to shift and change. So it starts. There's six eyes in this rubric, in this framework that I've developed. So first is the invitation,
Yeah.
to look deep inside yourself, to undergo a transformational experience. Maybe it's an invitation to sit with ayahuasca, whatever it may be. You get the invitation, and then number two is you get to use your intuition to decide whether it's a yes or a no for yourself. So use your intuition. You check in with yourself,
Yeah.
um, and you decide it's a yes. Presumably, it's a yes, because then we go to step three, which
Uh-huh.
is you're going to go do this ceremony, or you're going to do whatever it may be,
Yeah.
and before any kind of experience like this, you get to decide what it is that's important for you. So you set an
Right.
intention.
Intention.
What's your
Always.
intention
Hmm.
before any major
Any.
experience? You must set an intention, because
Absolute.
otherwise you're just kind of floating in like nebulous outer space. Whereas
Right.
now you have like a GPS coordinate you're getting to, right?
Right. Right. And
Yeah,
it's going to be like this to get there,
yeah,
possibly. But
hmm,
yeah, it's a stake in the ground that guides you in that direction. Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So you set your intention, and then great, you're prepared. You're ready to go do the thing. You're ready to undergo your hero's journey, right? The hero's journey is the um, it's the initiation.
Yes.
So that's the actual experience itself. So the
Yeah.
ayahuasca journey. It's the breath work. It's the when you're
What was that?
outside for 5 days.
Oh,
Um,
Vision Quest.
a vision quest. It could
Yeah.
be a vision quest.
Dude, speaking of Vision Quest, I feel like I want to do one.
I do too.
Oh, we gotta set this up, but we're gonna have to
Okay.
be like you're totally separate. I
Yeah.
really am being called to have a Vision Quest.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Love all these experiences. That
Yeah. Anyway, we're getting a little off track, but back to right,
initiation. That's number
initiation.
four. Initiation. You're doing the hero's journey. Number
Yep.
five is integration. You've gone through your
Yes.
hero's journey. You've had the experiences. You got the downloads. You're like, okay, what does this all mean? How do I make sense of this? And how do I create the life that I've been
Yes.
shown in my reality, in this
Yeah.
3D reality? And so
Yeah.
that's the integration portion. And that could mean, taking little steps to implement new habits in your life, to dropping certain people in your life, to repattern yourself so that you're doing different things, to start eating healthier, sleeping more, taking care of your
Yeah.
body better,
Yeah.
meditating, doing breath
Yeah.
work, yoga, all the things that support you in creating the little navigating, steps that
Yep.
support a new version of you. So that's
Yeah.
integration. Very important, maybe the most important. But
I
what
think it's
happens after that? How do you? That's how you create a pathway to your potential. And then what happens? It doesn't end there,
no.
because now you're this version 2.0 or maybe
Yep.
5.0 if you're a nurse
Yep.
mark version of yourself,
Yeah.
and then you're like, oh my god, I feel like a completely new and amazing version of myself, and I can't wait to share this energy and the things that I've learned with other people, because they've got to feel the same way I do. They've got to see the potential that they have, just like I've been able to see the potential that I have. And so the last step is inspiration. So then you've done all the work for yourself, and you're like, okay, I'm ready to be the inspiration to others and inspire them to do the
Yeah.
same thing or something similar, or like get them to, they have their own way, and
Yeah.
they know the way to their own way. And
The way knows the way, bro. The way knows the way.
that's right, the way knows the way. But
Last is
we
inspiration. I
the last
love
is inspiration. So how do
I
you
love
inspire others, or how do or what do you do to, like, what's the inspiration you have for yourself? Like, what's next on your journey if you have
it's my legacy statement.
more feeling to more healing to do?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Peeling the onion back. And it's exactly that. There's always another layer to go.
there's always another way to go.
Yeah.
Or the inspiration could be an
Yeah.
invitation for someone else to go
Yeah.
start their hero's journey.
And that's my legacy statement is I am the vessel that inspires people to step outside their human experience and embrace their true nature. And I
Mm,
got that before I even embraced plant medicine, before I even went down this psychedelics journey path.
mm.
That was established with a coach that I have used and love to death. Love, love, love. Um, and that was it. Inspire, step outside, and it's completely, uh, absolutely in alignment with where I am right now with you,
Mm.
co-collaborating, co-creating.
I love
Bravo.
it. I love it.
Yeah, that's a powerful. I really love that six that six step process that you created. That's powerful. I mean, it's got to be so, wow, just so transformative for folks when they embrace that and they walk through that.
Yeah, I mean, it just it it just adds a little bit of structure to this,
Mhm.
the unstructured way that we often go through these experiences. There's
Yeah.
a there's the surrender to the flow aspect of
Yep.
transformation, of like not knowing where to go next,
Yeah.
and just kind of listening and
And,
observing.
and
And
that's
there's
that's tough for people. I mean, human beings, we want to know. Like that, where our brains are designed to predict where we're going to be, right? So when you
yeah,
go into this surrender mode, that's one of the things that you need to confront is this brain that we're born with that's programmed to predict the outcome of whatever's coming next.
yeah,
And obviously, evolutionarily, to keep us safe and alive,
for
perpetuate
sure.
species. But being in this type of a life, yeah, you got to confront that.
It kind of reminds me to something I alluded to in earlier in our conversation. Have you heard of the Hermetic principles?
No.
Yeah, so there's the Hermetic principles. So there's this ph- philosopher, Hermes something. He was a philosopher back in Rome or Greece back in the day,
Yeah.
or maybe somewhere else.
And I'm sure,
I'm
oh,
getting,
well, in that case, if you say
I'm,
that he's back
I'm.
in that day and time, he definitely was an initiate in the Eleusinian mysteries, which is a whole other, that's a whole other subject. That's a whole other
Oh
podcast.
yes, the
Oh,
origin of psychedelics. A
I
very
know. I
very,
know.
yeah,
Amazing. We won't even get
the
on that road. But
the
Hermes,
origins
I'm
of
sure
ergot.
said, yeah.
So yeah, so I'm getting I'm maybe not may not be getting my facts completely correct, but anyway, so the Hermetic principles are kind of the fundamental principles and laws of the universe, which would speak about as above, so below is one of them. You may have heard that. The microcosm is a reflection of the macrocosm and vice versa. Um, everything is frequency or vibration, and one of there's like seven or eight of them, and then one of them is there's gender in everything. There's masculine and feminine in everything, and so it's important to, as I've been learning all these different concepts of the universe that I didn't learn in school, in
No,
university or business school, that is
no.
actually fundamental to the knowledge of life and how to act in accordance with
Right.
how the universe works. There's
Yeah.
a principle of masculine and feminine. We all have both. There's the masculine side on my right side, and
Yeah.
that's my father's side, feminine on the left side. And as a male oriented being myself, I do carry both masculine and feminine within me.
Right.
And when you think about masculine qualities and characteristics, it's structure, it's focus, it's determination, it's direction. And when you think about feminine qualities, it's flow, it's art, it's beauty, it's grace, it's receiving. The masculine gives, the feminine receives. And so when it comes to the the six eyes of this personal transformation that I just reflected,
Yeah.
it it creates this beautiful balance of the masculine and the feminine. So there's the structure of this, this six aspects of the transformational journey, which you
Right.
kind of know what's, that's the structure, and within that structure anything can happen, so you can't predict anything within that. And that's basically the unknown, and the feminine, like, surrender flow
Flow.
aspect.
Yeah.
I love this stuff. I just love, like, applying this principle to anything in life, and knowing that, like, there is a masculine and feminine aspect to it, to anything, when it comes to, for example, dance, or like creating, safety in a relationship, or things like that. So
Right. Right.
um, yeah,
Yeah.
it's all super fascinating. I just love it. I'm writing this article. I know we're right at the hour right now, but I
Yeah.
want to share that I'm writing this article about
Oh,
the
for sure, man.
evolution of my own growth and education, coming from a very academic background of
Traditional.
learning facts and learning how to apply business principles, very traditional, very academic, pedantic, etc. And that being my primary form of education, versus now my primary form of education, it's like I graduate from one school to another,
Yeah.
and now I'm gaining information just through experience, through the universe downloading information from my
Yes.
plant medicine
Yes.
ceremonies, and I feel
Yeah.
like I'm now in Hogwarts. So I came from Wharton, and now I'm in Hogwarts. I'm like, learned from this school, and now I'm in this school.
That's gonna be the name of this podcast recording. From Wharton to Hogwarts.
Please do it, because
That's it. That's
I'm
it.
about to drop this article so people can read about it in my own words. And it's true. Like, just if you are able to open yourself up and invite magic into your life, you'll see that it truly does exist. It truly does
It does.
exist.
It does.
And things that may have seemed, to the rational analytical brain, like woo woo, or like, esoteric, or just completely, I don't know what other words to describe it. Or there's truth to it if you're able to open yourself up, understand
Truth
that
and wisdom.
there's
Yeah.
there's truth in everything.
Yeah.
There's, just because it's not written about in a book that's been published from an academic source, doesn't mean it's not true.
Right. Right. Well, I'm
And
sure
it
it
might
was
it
written
might
at some point, but a lot of things have been over the course of centuries of time eradicated,
yeah,
burned, lost, on purpose. So, yeah, the
yeah,
wisdom is there. It's always inherent, right?
yeah.
Yeah. I like to say it like this, like 20,000 times a day you breathe in and out and you've never ever seen the air that you breathe. You just know it's there.
You just know it's there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But you don't see it. So all of this
Oh,
wisdom, all of this learning, it's there.
mm-hmm.
It's always there. You just got to
Oh my
access
God. You just reminded me about quantum physics,
it. Oh,
and the
I
power
love
of belief and the law of attraction. And oh, we
yeah.
could we could go dive deeper into that.
That's, you know what? That's another podcast. We got another one coming up. Salman, you and I are going to definitely do some specific conversations around topics. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That
My
must
light
be
went
it
out.
must mean that the podcast's over. The light went out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's it. That's the end of
that's
I'm sorry, folks. That's the end of the
that's the
show.
universe. That's the
Salman Hatta
universe
has to go. The universe is telling him it's
reminding
like
us that
10
our
minutes
that
to
our hour is
midnight.
up.
Yeah, yeah. It's 10 minutes to midnight in Bali. He's got to go.
Oh, oh yeah, that's right. 10 minutes of midnight. I've got a call in 10 minutes as well.
Yo.
So,
So
wow, what perfect
there's your
timing.
website,
Here's my website. Come check it out.
salmanhatta.com.
Work with
Check it
me.
out. He's the real deal. It's my
I
brother,
support
my
you.
soul brother.
I support people in creating and helping them make their lives, whether ordinary or not, into great ones. Into great one, which is a play on word, on a word, and the word is integration.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's what I do. I support you, whether with plant medicine or not, whether you're doing a journey or not. I'm here to support. I work with belief systems,
Yeah.
rewiring them, with breath work,
And there's
with
so many different modalities we can work with.
all the things.
Yeah, all the
Yeah.
things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's talk about masculine, feminine polarity dynamics.
yeah,
Let's talk about law of
yeah.
attraction. Let's talk about all the
So
things that
much,
support you to really
so
drop into
much.
your truth. Self-expression,
Yes.
becoming your most evolved, expressed self,
Yeah.
style,
Yeah.
whatever it is. I'm here for it.
Love it. Love it. And we have a lot to collaborate on as well. And I'm excited about what we're going to bring to the world. Yes.
Oh, there's a
Yes.
lot. There's a lot, my brother.
Powerful, powerful. All right,
Yeah.
so hang on after the recording, after we wrap up. Folks, thanks for joining us on the Nurse Mark podcast with my guest Salman Hatta from Bali in the middle of the night. And you know what? Hang in there, everybody. You know what I always say at the end of the daily love is have the best day ever. Hey, best night, best day. Just have the best of everything. All right. Love you all. See you soon.